Hello and welcome back to Lessons in Attachment. I'm Carly Ann. I am the very proud founder of the Attachment Recovery Gym, which is your online membership, ideal if you relate to anxious attachment and you're in this phase of your healing where you're learning, educating yourself, and really beginning to take action. Basically, you are ready for change and you are determined to become secure and so much more. So, I'm teaching inside the Attachment Recovery Gym from a place of over a decade of professional experience and 3 decades of personal experience. And what I want for you from this podcast is for you to be able to take away gems and ideas that can also help you to move from insecure towards secure. In this episode, I'm going to talk to you about 5 lessons that I have come to understand in terms of why people might pull away. I guess the important thing to acknowledge here is if you're listening to this, it probably means that you're in this place of uncertainty or certainty about the person that you like or are feeling attached to, beginning or possibly pulling away. Because, of course, anxious attachment, it's possible that that's not happening. It's also possible that it very much is. And I think that's part of the difficulty, whichever one of those situations you're in. I appreciate that it can be really difficult. And actually, that is one of the reasons why I've created the Attachment Recovery Gym, so that you have somewhere to go for these difficult moments, for community, tools that you can use in the moment to help you with regulating and just regaining that sense of balance. And, we just need to feel supported. We need help in these moments. And sometimes what we can do is end up doing unhelpful things like trying to figure out the other person. What are they thinking? What are they doing? How can I change their mind? And we commit so much time to that that we kind of forget that, this is a moment where we can go inwards, actually exercise our secure self as well. That said, I have been where you are, and I get that we want to understand what might be going on. I'm going to share these 5 lessons. So, what are the reasons that people might be pulling away? I'm going to start with maybe the hardest one, but it's not personal. Okay, so this is that you're not the right match for them. So this isn't about you. It's not about your self-worth. It's not about you not being good enough. I know it can be painful, like whatever even if they're the most secure person in the world, it doesn't mean that we have to be the right person for them. Sometimes there is nothing more to it than someone pulling away because this isn't the right match for them right now or in the long term. It could be a matter of compatibility. It could be just that it's just not there. Think about someone that you have not liked back, that hasn't been right for you. You've got a question. Were you there thinking, well, they're just not worthy, they're just not good enough, and thinking about every terrible thing? Or did you simply know this just isn't it? And sometimes that's all it is. It doesn't have to reflect on you personally. The next reason is that they are not ready for commitment. And I know, so like, why? Why did they make the commitments that they've made already, or whatever it might be? But really, commitment is a significant factor in why some people pull away. Maybe as things start to get a bit closer, I can't tell you how many people say to me, it was just as we had our best day. It was just as I really felt like we were making connections. And that can be really hard for you to understand. But sometimes it triggers something in someone, that closeness, to be like, actually, I'm not ready for this. I'm not saying they consciously feel that, but they may, because some of you may be listening to this and actually you've been told, I'm just not ready for a relationship. And I think it's a case of believing that. Some of you wouldn't have been told that, which I think is, it's just so annoying, isn't it? Like, just be honest with me. But we can't make people talk to us. We can't make people share their feelings of what's really going on. Don't dig too much. If you have a sense that, you know what, they're not ready, see if you can accept that. And like the first one, that would mean that you're not a match. In fact, for any reason they're pulling away, We know that we're not compatible. We know that we're not a match. And you deserve someone who sees you. You deserve someone that is ready for commitment. And you really have to be willing to hold out for that kind of compatibility. What is it that you're looking for? I don't need to, I'm going to keep saying it, trying to change someone's mind or change this situation. That is not what this episode is about. This episode is about, I guess, giving yourself a bit of clarity. Another reason is that sometimes people are dealing with a personal issue. Sometimes it's not the right time. That doesn't have to be a lie. Sometimes it just isn't. Maybe that was the case when you started dating or started spending time together or whatever the relationship is or was. Or maybe it wasn't. Maybe something has happened that is a new development, but maybe they are dealing with something in their own personal life that needs to be their priority right now. And that can be really hard because I know that you want to feel like someone's priority. Think of it this way: people need to deal with their own emotional baggage, they need to deal with their past hurts, they need to deal with what's going on for them. Sometimes we get into something and then realize, I can't dedicate myself to this. It's a bit like the being ready for commitment. Sometimes we don't realize until we're in something. It doesn't mean that the time that you have spent together didn't happen or wasn't real, but this is where we are now. And sometimes dealing with a past trauma, dealing with something that's come up, is a reason why people might begin or completely pull away. Another reason, which plenty of you that listen to Lessons in Attachment will be familiar with, is that you have been dealing with someone who leans towards avoidant. They are more insecure. And again, that feeling of getting close to someone, that feeling of possible commitment, that can create an inner sense of stress, of overwhelm, of pressure. And again, whether it's conscious or not, creates something in that person, like a compulsion to pull away, to regain their own inner emotional balance, that independence that they might feel like they've lost. That doesn't mean that you've been demanding. It doesn't mean that you've done things wrong or, okay, let me pull back, let me play that cool girl. It just means that a bit like the others, they're not ready. If you don't want that back and forth, maybe you're someone with an anxious attachment who's now going to go, right, I'm just going to completely pull back. And then we can stay in this, the anxious attachment, anxious avoidant dance. I wouldn't recommend it. I can't stop you. But this is a clear reason in my experience why people might pull away, especially because you're an anxious attacher. I'm assuming because you're listening to this podcast, it's very possible that you do date and fall for people that are avoidant and insecure. So maybe this is something that you're relating to. What I would say here is, don't let this be a reason to put up with it, to fight, to convince them, to send them all the materials on attachment styles, again, to try and change their mind. And the fifth and final reason that I'm sharing, I know that there's so many good reasons out there. And you could probably relate this to the other ones that I've shared, but it's just that they were never there in the first place. Some people out there are just dating. They're not always honest about it, or they are, and we ignore that. We hear what we want to hear, or we think we can change them, mold them, all of those kind of things, but they were never there in the first place. This was never going to be something long term. And like I say, maybe they told you. Really be honest with yourself about that. Or maybe they didn't. We have this, right? The love bombers, the people that are just out there for an ego boost, that they are skipping from one person to the next. And I know it's frustrating because this is your heart, this is your life, this is your precious, precious time. And there's people out there willing to waste it. I'm going to say again, possibly consciously, unconsciously. Maybe what I would say is that they're not there thinking, I'm going to hurt this person, but their actions are hurtful. And, some people have got to wake up to that. Doesn't mean that they are avoidant, doesn't mean that they've got no sense of security. Some people are just in this place in their life where this is where they're at. I'm dating, I'm jumping from one person to the next. I enjoy this, I'm having fun, whatever it is. Okay. But hear them, especially hear them. Again, like I said, if they're telling you from the beginning, I'm just looking for fun, this is what I'm doing, or you've seen it, you already know this is who they are, take things very, very carefully because this is your heart. Okay, they are my 5 lessons in terms of why people pull away. I just know I have missed some really key ones, perhaps that you have experienced personally or that you have read about, heard about. Please share them with me. So on YouTube, put them in the comments. Um, Spotify, I don't even think you can comment there, can you? I can probably set it up that you can. Instagram, carly.ann underscore. Come and share with me what I've missed. I can add that on Instagram. I want to hear your experience as well within this community because I'm here, I'm leading this podcast, I'm leading the attachment recovery gym, but I really want to hear from you as well. If you want freebies, check out all the other episodes of Lessons in Attachment. Go to the description. I've got some freebies there for you. And I will be back here soon. Please do the subscribing, downloading, that kind of thing, just so that this podcast can get to people just like you and me that need it. Otherwise, yeah, I'll see you over on Instagram and I will see you back here soon.